Guys, I'm here with Eddie. I've known Eddie for years, and he's one of my last single holdout friends. So I just wanted to chat with him. He's a PhD. Let's just chat with Eddie. So, Eddie, welcome to our show. And I just wanted to let's just have this quick chat on a few topics. And the key thing I wanted to know is your journey. You being a PhD, a black man, a PhD, living in two different countries, in your adulthood, and what you found in dating, relationships, all of that stuff, right? So, ready to go?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me, Pookie.
Okay.
It's actually three different countries in adulthood, but I guess we'll get to that.
Yeah, I've told a lot of people about life in Jamaica that
Yeah.
it's fun and everything, but the one that is most interesting to me is that when you went to England, because let's first start out. You are a PhD, so basically, like, give me a little background on what is it that you studied.
Well, so I studied the sciences, uh, microbiology to be exact, cancer research, drug discovery, that sort of thing.
And so, I mean, you got your PhD, and if I remember correctly, you had a long term relationship for a while. And I know that that one didn't work out. I didn't want to get too deep into that, right? But what were your takeaways from that relationship? Because after that relationship, what were your big takeaways?
Well, but one of the takeaways was well, probably the most important was that we weren't compatible with each other. Um, as you said, it was a long-term relationship, and I think maybe halfway into it, or even before halfway, well, I realized that this wasn't going to work out. But at the time, I was young, so it was just a matter of staying in it for just for convenience sake.
And like I know you should be okay with me saying this because we're both in our 40s. You're younger than me, so you're in your
Mm,
extremely early 40s. I'm in my mid 40s.
yeah.
And after that relationship, I know that
Mhm,
while you were in the UK for that time, you
mhm.
did date. And one of my things I wanted to find out is that while you were dating, what, like, did you end up in another long term, or it was more in just like get to know dating that people do?
Well, it could have been the ones after that could have been long term, but circumstances, I want to say beyond our control, prevented that from happening. For example, there's one the girl after I dated, after my long term, she was a white girl. Her she told me that her dad was she blatantly told me that her dad was racist. So she introduced me to her mom, but she said she couldn't introduce me to her dad because he was racist and he wouldn't allow this relationship to happen. So I knew that for me at that time, it wouldn't have made any sense to sort of prolong that relationship any longer.
I,
Because if she didn't want to, well, I'm not blaming her because I'm guessing that she did what she could do, but um, I don't think that there was any reason for prolonging that relationship anymore.
yep. So I mean, I didn't know about this relationship because I wasn't in Britain with you.
Mhm.
But was she native British, or she was
Yes,
from
yes,
another country? Oh, she was
yeah,
native
yes. No,
British.
she was British. She was
Yeah.
white British, born there and thing.
So
Uh,
I mean, so after that relationship, did you date anymore?
yes, I did. So I dated an Indian. I dated a Kenyan
And
after that.
but so this Indian person, was she born in Britain, or she was like basically
Uh, so wait,
a
sorry, you broke up.
second
You broke up.
generation Indian?
Wait,
Sorry.
sorry,
So what I'm
you
saying
broke.
is,
Uh-huh.
can you hear me better
Yes,
now?
yeah, I can hear you now.
Sorry, good. All right, so I was saying that this Indian girl, was she second generation Indian, or she was born in India and moved to Britain?
Yeah, second generation. So she came there to study, and then
Okay,
got a job there. We actually met at work.
okay.
Hmm.
And how was that relationship? Like,
That
what
that
caused
was
that
pretty
one?
good.
Oh,
That yeah, that relationship was good. You know, we had fun and all that. Um uh she wanted to pursue her education. So that's actually why we broke up, because she got to do a PhD in another country, and of course I encouraged her, encouraged her to go for it. So so that's eventually why we broke up, because she moved to a different country to pursue her PhD.
yeah. And you know what? In knowing you, Eddie, for a while, the first
Mm-hmm,
thing that I noticed was your education
mm-hmm,
seemed to take the front seat. And I think that some of the people that you met along the way, it seems like their education also took a front seat. Is that fair to say?
mm-hmm. Well, yes, cause especially when I was younger, it did. I loved studying, and that sort of thing. Right now, I've got four degrees. So I've got my undergraduate, I've got two masters, and I got a PhD. So I did enjoy studying. I did enjoy, still do, learning more, and that pursuit. And I think that's the kind of females that I attract. Females that are highly educated, and um, pursue um, careers in like high positions.
Yeah, and you see that's contrasting with me because I
Mm,
like my you know my wife. We
mm,
got married. She did
mhm,
her master's, her MBA, and
mm,
then that was it for school for both of us.
right.
And that's way back when.
Mhm.
Now tell me more about the Kenyan relationship. What what was great about it, and how did that one end?
So that one ended because I moved from England, but we were thinking about you know getting married, and settling down, and all of that. But it's just that when when we met, I was already in the process of moving from England, right? It wasn't a place that I wanted to stay, and I was you know not. I started to be uncomfortable there, right? I wanted to move. I wanted to change jobs, and all that kind of thing. And her family lived there, so it wasn't right to ask her to move countries. So that's a decision that I took. I wanted to move countries, so that's why that relationship broke up. But I mean, we are still friends.
Good, yeah. And I just wanted to say something. So, a lot of people don't know this, but and I just wanted to say this. So, you moved a few years ago to Canada, and when you moved to Canada, like you're very private. You're very private with your life. But
Mm.
give me some compare and contrast. Between the British girl that you dated, the maybe the Kenyan, and the girls that you have met here in Canada, and what's your thoughts of the compare and contrast in the cultures?
Ah, well, I've dated girls from different countries. Um, Culturally, they're different, based on the country that they're from. For example, the the Indian, they're more family oriented, compared to Caucasians that, I mean, are family oriented, but not as much. They prefer, at least the ones that I've dated, prefer the sort of nightlife, going out, that kind of thing. So
N-
yeah, so in terms of cultures, there are differences there.
And so, So basically, do you find that you are more aligned with the Indian culture? Because I mean, you are partially Indian in your own background, right?
Um, not so much. But for me, uh, I be- 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 because I've lived outside of my country for a while now, I can tend to adapt to other cultures and like you know how other cultures behave towards their partners. I feel that between cultures it's not that different. So in terms of aligning, um, personally, I really don't have a problem dating persons from different cultures. Was that the question you were asking?
Yeah, yeah. I was just trying to on well, part of it was that I was trying to get an understanding that dating between Britain and and Canada, if there was a
Mhm.
different culture, but I think you
Mm,
tend to say
no,
that the culture was more aligned to maybe a British white woman and a Canadian white woman may have
look,
similar culture.
no. The,
Is
the
that
thing is, okay. The thing is, um, because both countries are so multicultural now. Um, so I have I haven't dated like a Canadian white woman, um, but I've dated uh women from different cultures that live in Canada because it's so multicultural. Um, right. So yeah. So as as I said, I've dated um women from different cultures who live in Canada. So it's so in that sense, it's not that different from like dating in Britain. It's to me, it's really similar.
so I want to ask you
Wait, the difference would come with the individual person's personality or character and what they you know and what they're into.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So what I wanted to say now is this.
mm,
Like what if you met the perfect woman um 20 years ago, or maybe 18 years ago when you're pursuing your education? Do
mm.
you think that because you're so focused on your education that she would have probably been the perfect woman, but the timing would have just been wrong?
Well, I don't think in terms of perfect woman. I think from my experience, uh the the individuals in that relationship makes their partner the perfect person. Bear in mind that there's no one's going to be perfect, but it is what you make of the other person. So yeah, I could have met somebody 18 years ago, as you said, but if both people don't work at that relationship, then it wouldn't have worked out. If at that time, since I was focused on my education, that was at the forefront. Maybe it didn't matter who I met. That would have been the focus, right? Um, so meeting the perfect person is just gonna depend on that time in your life, right? What that that season, right? So yeah, so I think that it doesn't matter. Is if the individuals work at it, to make that relationship perfect in quotations.
So I like this is the first time I'll ever ask you this question, but
Mm-hmm.
do you want to one day have a family, like
Well,
wife and a
if
children?
if that happens, it happens, right? It's not something that I'd see myself rushing into. I am dating now, and if uh and dating is something that I don't rush as well, which I've learned from experience. Women tend to take the time. men tend to rush into things, and that's why it doesn't work. Um, so if if I was to meet somebody, and we're there's chemistry, we both like each other's character, we both can enjoy each other's company, we both can call each other best friends, then and if that happens, then then it happens.
Now, I'm going to ask you one
Mm,
very personal question. So,
mm,
you are in your early 40s.
yeah.
If you met a woman in her early 40s, chances are she could be a single mother, one, right?
Hmm.
Or not in the age that she could have a child.
Hmm.
For you, um, what's your thoughts on single mothers?
Well, uh, a lot of persons um do things that they may have regretted when they were younger. Um, my my myself included. For example, if a single mom could have met somebody who, when they were like a teenager or early 20s, who they thought was, this man is gonna marry me, we're gonna have a family and everything. They got pregnant for that person, and then after a year or two, the man can't manage and then leaves. That happens. I've got nothing against single mothers. I've got relatives who are single mothers and stuff, and they've met other persons. So for instance, a man who's a single father, and they've gone on to lead perfectly good lives.
No, and I know those folks too. I know that single mother, single father, they met, they had
Oh, but
children
but but
themselves.
basically, personally for
For
me,
personally, yeah.
yeah, for me, well, as I said, I don't have anything against a single mom. If I was to meet somebody and we were to hit it off, like we both enjoy each other's company, and ticking all the boxes, then I'd say no reason not to get into a serious relationship with that person. As I said, I've seen it happen successfully.
Sorry,
Hmm.
from my perspective,
Hmm.
because I'm just a little bit older than you, right?
Hmm.
If I was single at this time and I'd never gotten married before, and I know that you don't have any children yourself,
Hmm.
I would be dating someone in their early 30s to late 20s because I would be looking to start life. What's your idea on that?
um well, I am currently, well, I've spoken to girls within that age group, and some of them, uh there's a different level of maturity. For example, mid to late 20s, we just to put it bluntly, we have a different set of thinking. So um, we don't sort of see eye to eye on certain topics, right? It could be just it could be a maturity issue. It could be just where we have different character characters or opinions on certain things. So I know that it sometimes it doesn't work, but there are persons in that age group that 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 I do get on with. So so it comes back to my earlier point, where um if we do have chemistry with each other, then yeah, I've got no problem. I don't have no problem with any age group at all.
But I mean, there must be a comfort level. And if you were to look at your dating over the last maybe 5 years, you would have seen, like, if you put it on a graph, you'd find, if I put
It
that on a
is
graph, there's an
it
age group that you're finding comfort with. And what age
well
group is that?
it would be like, yeah, late 20s to late 30s, yeah,
And
around that age group.
yeah, and late, yeah, because I was saying late 20s too. Because late 20s, like, um, I work, and when I meet people in the late 20s, the same thing I can tell you, because I think of the fact that when we were growing up, you had cassettes, like cassette players
Mm,
and all of that stuff. Like
okay.
those folks in that age group,
Mm.
they don't know about those things, right?
Yeah, well,
Um, and
yeah.
and that, and like even growing up listening to Vanilla Ice and all of that, it's a different generation.
Mm.
But what
They're they
I
they're better with social media and better with computers and all that. Yeah.
yeah, they are,
Mm.
but like when someone in their 30s now who's closer to you,
Mm.
that should be a comfort level. But for you to find someone in that age group, I, like I would think that if I met a woman in her 30s and she was never married before, there would be a little bit of an anxiety and maybe the requirement to start a family and get things going quickly towards that, that nuclear family, children, all of that. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, person. Yeah, from my experience, older women, around that age, tend to be a bit more receptive, and you know, uh, tolerable, I should say. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but yeah, a bit more receptive and a bit more easier to sort of talk to and all of that. Uh, Maybe because of that whole reasoning, their biological clock is sort of ticking, and they do want to meet somebody. Most girls have a checklist of the ideal man that they want to marry and stuff. And as you get older, that checklist tends to get shorter and shorter, right? As time runs out. So yeah, girls in their mid 30s tend to be a bit more, you know, receptive to sort of going on dates, and more willing to, make a relationship work. From my
Or-
experience, anyway.
All right. Yeah. And so I'm going to call three, I'm going to say three, two names and one term, and tell me if you've ever heard about it, right?
Mm.
Have you ever heard of Kevin Samuels?
I want to think the name sounds familiar, but I can't put a finger on it and say who that is.
Okay, good.
Mm.
Have you ever heard of Cynthia G?
No, I can't say that I have.
Have you ever heard of the divested movement
Divested movement. No,
or the
I can't say.
divestment movement?
Divestment movement. No, I can't say that I haven't heard of.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right. So, I mean, I've been in these YouTube streets, and I don't want to poison your minds
Okay.
on all of this stuff. But
Is it some
one of the,
Generation X thing or Generation Y
I
or?
would say it's I think a lot of the people who are in the divestment movement, and so divestment movement is it's it tends to be a lot of women in the U.S. and some women, I think, from England, and they're looking to divest, get rid of the things that don't serve them well, and some there's some fringe groups who are saying, hey, we don't want to date black men anymore and all that. But I don't want to get into that
Really?
one. Yes,
Wow.
I don't want to get into that one. But what I have found is, and I don't know if you're seeing this in the dating market,
Mm.
is, do you find, and are you hearing this, that there's a shortage of good men?
Um, I've heard that, but I don't think that is true. I think it's a case where um the a few bad apples spoil the whole bunch. That's what I think. I think there's um a few in the group who are, not good, as in a sense, and then from that, for example, if it's a case where, it is like, black men in this case, then the idea is that okay, all black men are not good, which I don't believe in. You know, so I believe it's just I believe there are good men out there. It's just that most people have this perceived idea that black men are inherently bad, right? It's like walking down the street at night. You see you see a big black guy in a hoodie. You're gonna want to cross the street, right? Not knowing who that person is, and that person could just be going about their business, you know. So yeah, so I think it's something like that.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. And the reason why I asked you all of that is because I, did that dive maybe since late summer into that whole YouTube world and saw that world.
Hmm.
And I actually have not seen that YouTube world in real life. Because I have not seen
Hmm.
it. But why I wanted to ask you all of this was because I wanted to compare what I've been hearing in the YouTube streets versus just a regular person. But you're not really a regular person because when I look at it, you are a black man in his 40s, never had a child before, not married, and you are highly educated with a PhD in a STEM, a science, technology, engineering,
Hmm.
mathematics degree. You are not typical. Like let's not pretend that you're typical. But what I found, growing up in Jamaica and being in the Jamaican diaspora, is that sometimes people tend to have circles, and in their circles and networks, the people are similar to them. If you get what I'm saying.
Hmm.
So you may have a lot of friends who are similar to you in that they are post grads, or they have degrees, they have their life together and all of that. And then it
Hmm.
sometimes seems in your circle that things are great. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hmm.
And because that's what I see, in my circle, because my circle of friends are still from high school and they're
Hmm.
doing pretty well. But then I think that we don't venture a lot out of the circle. Like you're closest to the street, maybe the barber that you go to, right? And
Hmm.
I think that's the most times when people connect back to the street or that culture and that.
Hmm.
But why I wanted to ask you about all those things was I I sense because like when I rarely ever ask you about your personal life, but I do get the feeling that you actively date, you have
Hmm.
relationships that are medium term, and sometimes they're just things that may happen that create that it doesn't work out.
Hmm.
But what my thought was that when I grew up, my main thing was I wanted to get married, I wanted to have children, I wanted
Hmm.
that life. But I don't
Hmm.
think everyone had that goal, and that's okay. That's perfectly
Hmm.
fine. When you
Right.
look back to your 15, 17-year old, 15 to 17 year
Hmm.
old person, Eddie, what was your goal
You
in
see,
in that?
yeah. So when I was living back home, in as you said, teenage years, early 20s, that was somewhat a higher priority. But when I left home and went to England and then to Canada, it wasn't that important anymore, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think possibly as you said, the actual circle of friends. Because when I started studying in England, I started hanging out with persons who were studying as well and who were also highly educated and had the sort of same mindset as myself. So that wasn't sort of on a high priority on the list.
Yeah. So yeah, so in closing, I want to say thank you. I mean, this is really good.
Hmm.
Um I really wanted to interview you because, you know, when you listen to a lot of people, especially in social media, they tend to stereotype black men.
Hmm.
And the thing is, I that's not what I see in my circle, but I am also cognizant of the fact that my circle is not representative because you know you, as you said, you went to school, so you tend to have a lot of people in who went to school with you or have the same thing.
Mm,
I'm in the finance arena, and my friends tend to be people who have a finance background, right? So
mm,
yeah, so it tends to be like that. But really, thank you, Eddie, and you know what? I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to get back to you on this one. But this is
okay.
really good and refreshing, and something that I wanted to get from you. I know I asked you for this a few weeks ago. So thank you so much. And I'm sure the
Uh,
audience learned something today.
okay. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure being speaking with you.